everything dies. Everything dies. Why is everything dying? Do you want to guess what they're talking about? They're talking about their iPads. How come the iPad is always dying? So hello you guys and welcome to Laraddiji's LinPRinP. Thank you for clicking a show. I'm a lifestyle vlogger who loves living a peaceful life, and I love talking about situations we might find ourselves in that need peaceful endings. In this video, I'll be talking about parents and who they are to us, and I hope you're watching this at the right time of your life. Whether you're already a parent, or you're getting ready to be a parent, or you're thinking about being a parent, or you still have a long way to go to get to that stage. It's the Living in Peace episode, or the LIMP section of my channel, where I talk about peaceful living in this chaotic and dramatic world, how I see it and how I live it under the umbrella of living a peaceful life. This section is the main section of my channel, so if you're all about living a peaceful life as well, this channel is definitely for you. If you're already subscribed to this channel, then you are a very important part of this show's family, and you are humbly welcome back to this channel. If you're new here and would love to join us LinPRinPers, then do subscribe by hovering over the heart in the right lower corner and click the subscribe button. Do check out the other sections of Laraddiji as you're inspired to do so after watching this video. So back to today's topic, parents. Who are they? Who are our parents? Parents are the people, individuals, couples, daddies, mummies, uncles, aunties, the community, the neighborhood, the church, people around us who want the best for us. You know, they pitch into becoming the people you see out there in the world today. So for this episode, I'm going to be breaking down who parents are in the lives of children. So number one, parents are human. Some people think their parents are superhuman, that they are superheroes, and that nothing can happen to them in this world. At some point in a child's life, he or she is to look up to his or her parents for support, guidance, help, and shelter and safety. But I want you to look at it this way. Your parents are your superheroes until you are an adult and you are able to take care of yourself. And in turn, when your parents are older, you should be their superheroes when they can no longer look after themselves. The second point I'm going to talk about parents is that they make mistakes. Whether they admit it or not, whether they admit it to their children or not, they do make mistakes. An action or judgment that is misguided or wrong. The Bible even says that before we were born, God knew us. Our personalities, our temperaments, our strengths, our weaknesses, and many more. But to our parents, we're just supposed to be perfect. Therefore, they already kind of set us up to fail. So this can sometimes cause tension in the parent-child relationship. So sometimes parents do get it wrong. I remember back home, and I'm sure you know this goes across the board, across the world. Every parent wants their child to be maybe a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or there's one more thing. I guess those are the three main ones. So if a child says, oh, he wants to be a designer, you know, that's going to be like an issue in the house, and that can cause a lot of problems. So sometimes parents do get it wrong. They might get it wrong in their child's personality. They can get it wrong in their child's temperament. They can get it wrong in their child's ambition. They can get it wrong in their child's focus and dreams. Parents can make mistakes. If you're a young adult and you're watching this, your parents can get it wrong. The third point I'm going to make is that parents will sacrifice for you. What I mean is that the fact that two people come together, get married, and decide to have a baby is already a sign that they will sacrifice a lot for you already, because that decision is a sacrifice in itself. Sacrifice of self, of time, of love, of convenience, and of peace of mind sometimes. Okay, especially in the little stages, well, you know what, in all stages, because every stage brings its problems. I'm sure you already know that there's a portion of the world's population who have decided and who will still decide not to have children, whether due to their previous experiences or because of some other reasons. All right, they have decided they will never be a part of the people that will have children. So the fact that you're hearing this today is because of someone's conscious sacrifice to have you, or maybe sometimes unconsciously, to have you and care for you to an age where you will eventually start to take care or take over the care of yourself. If I sacrifice a lot for you until the age of 5, will I stop then, or should I stop then? No. Parents will sacrifice a lot we can't even begin to quantify how much a parent can sacrifice for their child. Guess what? There are even people who have never had children themselves, and they sacrifice a portion of their lives just to see that other people succeed. Look at the likes of Oprah, and I'm sure that there are many more, but I can only think of her right now. For instance, she has no children of her own, but makes sure some people in I think it's South Africa, she makes sure that they have access to schools and water. She calls them her children. There are many stories like that. I can't even mention every single one of them right now. Look at adoptive parents. Some can have children themselves, but they choose not to so that they can care for an orphan. And some do have children and then adopt one or two more children to make a change in the life of a child who has nobody to care for them. My plan is to talk to someone in the near future about some of these topics I usually talk about in the Living in Peace section, so that we can learn from concrete experiences about how we can live and inspire a peaceful life. The fourth thing about parents I'm going to talk about is that parents already sacrifice their time. How do we keep a pregnancy for 9 months? Some go through hell with nausea and vomiting, extreme weight gain, weight loss, and sometimes no weight gain, even at times. From the time of conception to the time a child leaves home for college or for marriage, the parents of a child would have sacrificed lifetimes. Don't take your parents for granted. Number 5, parents want the best for you, and they want you to be successful and to be better than them. Parents believe that they know a lot. However, when it comes to their children, they want to know them even more. This is very important, especially in a family where there's a lot of struggle to get basic education, and also more importantly, is a family where an accomplishment took a long time to achieve. So for their children, it becomes even more important that they help them achieve or accomplish so much more in a shorter time. This is because, take for instance my parents who grew up in Nigeria. They are educated and they were almost degree holders, but they instilled in me that sense of educational importance, which is what they knew as the way to succeed in life and be somebody, in life. My goal from them was that I finished my bachelor's degrees, which I'll forever be grateful for. In this country where there's a lot of opportunities, it would have been a waste of time and effort if I hadn't achieved that dream. All because my parents said, you know what, we don't have a bachelor's degree, or we were close to getting a bachelor's degree, and because of one reason or the other, a lot of reasons back home why they couldn't, they really wanted to make sure that their children were educated and got their degrees. If not for them, then I might have made some stupid decisions and end up somewhere I might not be even talking to you right now, So thank you, mommy and daddy. The face of education is changing, and so also the face of success. Both are not what they were years ago. They are, if we had to define what success was 10, 20, 15, 20 years ago, it's very different now. Times are changing. There are so many ways of making it to the top now. Let's say my parents were like, oh, you have to do this 10, 20 years back in the day. You could be doing that now and you will not be close to your dreams. So if your child or your young adult has deviated from the social norm of climbing the educational ladder, do not chastise them, but always advise and guide, and all the more listen and pray for your young adults. The sixth thing I'm going to be talking about is parents may not admit their mistakes. All right. So I first said they make mistakes. And this one is that they may not admit their mistakes. All right. Parents might not admit their mistakes on certain issues because one, kids might start looking at their parents as failures, and they might even use their parents' failures as reasons and excuses to misbehave and ultimately become failures. Number two, kids need success stories to push them and encourage them in their quest for success. If they hear failure stories at an early stage, I feel that they'll also feel that their efforts will not amount to anything because, mommy didn't do it, so what's the chance that I'm gonna make it? Something like that. Even though a smart child can use that as a fuel to actually push them forward, but some people Some are not that. Some are not. I don't think some are strong enough to use that as an energy boost. Unfortunately, I feel that they might feel their efforts will not amount to anything if they hear negative or failure stories earlier on in their lifetime. I remember something about my mom. I'm married now, I have my kids, and she was telling me something recently, and I'm like, how come you didn't tell me all these things way back when? My goodness, you're my mom and I don't even know this about you, and things like that. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, if I heard a story when I wasn't married, or maybe when I didn't have kids, or maybe when I wasn't done with school, that might have had a different effect in the way I would have seen life, something like that. As a parent myself now, there are some things I believe I most definitely would not have understood if I hadn't had my children yet, or maybe if I wasn't married yet. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So this I actually experienced in terms of some topics, like I said, with my mom. I wish I knew about her family planning stories so that I could have made better decisions regarding mine. But then I guess there are some things you want to know from your parents and not have to hear it from outsiders. This is very important. I also feel that parents try to protect their children from giving way too much information too early, and the responsibility, I feel, ultimately falls on the child on how and when they get such information. It can go in the form of just a simple conversation. Mommy, or dad, how did you do this when you were younger or when you were older? I feel like now that I'm older, I'm learning more and more about my parents, about their young days, about their mistakes when they were young, about, their decision making and things like that. Whereas during my growing up years, I might not have understood them because I didn't have many experiences then to prepare me for such information. One important aspect of life to take into consideration when kids are learning from their parents is that they come from a different era of life. This actually should be parents come from a different era of life. And their problems and interventions to those problems could be very different depending on the topic. My daughter, the twins, one day I was just minding my business, and I heard them complain that everything dies. Why is everything dying? Do you want to guess what they're talking about? They're talking about their iPads. How come the iPad is always dying? Oh, how come it's always dying? Everything dies. Just because the iPad was dying and they couldn't watch their favorite show, everything is dying. That's what they said. I was minding my business. I'm like, what in the world? That's their problem. That is the problem they're facing now. In 2020, that is their problem. The problem is everything dies. My iPad is dying. My Kindle Fire is dying. The TV doesn't die. Mommy's phone dies. Everything dies. I was like, when I was their age, they're 5 going on 6. When I was their age, what was my problem? And then I started thinking, what was my problem? My problem was doing my homework and playing with my friends. Or maybe the soccer ball, was deflated. That was my problem. And then I was thinking, what was my parents' problem? My parents' problem could be looking for money to pay school fees so he can go to first grade. That's their problem. So as life goes on and my kids get older, I can give them solutions to problems in their era. Because their times would have changed. So it would be kind of foolish almost to say, all right, this is the way you should do it. This is the way you should do it. Because times have changed. Times would have changed, So that's just my little 2 cents on era and time. We don't want the TV and our iPads to keep dying. That's a problem in their life now. And I was shocked at how easily they conveyed this big problem. And I definitely didn't have that problem when I was growing up. Like I said, our problems back then, if you can imagine, was how to get drinking water, to the dining table. That was my problem then, getting drinking water. All right. We had to fetch water for miles and miles just to get water to drink. And my kid here is talking about everything dies. My laptop is dying. My computer is like, kid, you need to The seventh thing I'm going to talk about is parents hope you have children as well. Granted, there's no problems with you having kids. Imagine having invested in the future by making it possible for a man or woman to marry you in the future, and then willingly that child decides not to have children. That would be like a slap in the face to humanity, to the future, to destiny. I believe that a lot of things happen for a reason, so adopt a child. There's plenty in the orphanages. I'm sure you know a lot of people who have just one child for one reason or the other, and that child in turn goes on to have 3, 4, 5 children later. That's life. Another point is parents use their experience to raise you. Think about it. A teacher cannot teach you what he or she doesn't know. If experience has taught me that asking questions from the older folks and more experienced parents has helped their children, would I want my children to learn the hard way? A good teacher should also know when he doesn't know what to teach, but should know where knowledge can be acquired. What I mean is, when parents have good experiences, that will mean good or better experiences for their children in turn, right? Bad experiences will mean tough and maybe tougher and stricter rules on the children, depending on what was affected in the parents' lives. Experiences in those areas, spiritually, academically, financially, emotionally, economically, can affect how kids will be raised. Myself, for instance, my parents were low to middle income earners back home. So of course, the goal for the kids, for their future, is to work hard so that their kids can be top earners in their fields. Let's say my parents were big buck earners. They were making it big in the, whatever industry they were, doing. Then their aim would have been maybe their children taking over their company if they had one. It would be to be better than them, to take their company or whatever they've built will be to take them to higher heights, or with the era, with things changing, that they also will use their experience to bring their business or that company forward, into a new era, into their era. The ninth thing I'm going to talk about parents is that parents want you to outgrow and outlive them. No parent wants to bury their baby, and they want you to live longer than them. This is why when kids engage in activities that can shorten their lives, I'm saying kids, but I'm talking about kids, younger adults. I'm talking about adults, because some adults are still acting like kids. This is why when people engage in activities that can shorten their lives, it saddens them. When kids engage in drugs, alcohol, cigarette smoking, and many more. All these things have negative effects on you physically, and I want to say spiritually, and I want to say it affects your whole overall health. I'm hoping that parents whose kids are doing this will not be happy. Unless they're the ones doing the drugs and passing it on to their children, then I know they would. Well, you know what I mean. All right. The 10th thing I'm going to talk about is that parents don't know it all. If you are a biological parent, a guardian, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, if you are a foster parent, don't beat yourself up. You don't know it all. You can't even know it all when it comes to parenting. There was a movie I saw about a family that decided not to have kids but to adopt a child. They had the opportunity to adopt 3 siblings, otherwise they would be separated. And I remember thinking to myself what the challenges would be like. First, the kids were of older age, and when you're in the orphanage, the older you get, the harder it gets to be adoptable. This family wanted to adopt a child, and they fell in love with these 3 kids. They were siblings, and they really, really felt bad that they would be broken up. So they decided to adopt them. I can't remember the name of the movie. I'll see if I can research it before this episode comes out, and I'll put it on the screen. The challenge was that they spoke another language, and they were siblings. So first, In addition to the struggles of adopting, they had a lot of hurdles to jump over, just like a biological parent would. But the blows might just be less. They had to, overcome the language barrier. They had to overcome the ages of the siblings, and the couple actually were young themselves, so it was like an all-around learning. And in the end, I really want you to watch this movie, and in the end you will see that at the end the family became a cohesive one. So it's not everybody that gives birth to a child that actually is a parent. Some parents don't even parent their child, they just give birth to them, and the children parent themselves, unfortunately. The 11th point I'm going to talk about is that parents are portals for kids. If you know this, your parenting battle is cut in half, all right? You have won half of the battle if you understand this point. I feel that some parents hold on to their kids too tightly, and it becomes a big problem later on in their lives. Kids have different personalities. Sometimes they have different personalities than their father, than their mother, or they have a combination. If you have a combination of two people, that becomes a whole different personality on its own. They have different goals, they have different visions, they have different missions, and, life paths. So forcing them to your own agenda will be like chaining down a phoenix. Yes, it is destined to rise and fly. You can't chain it down. I pray that God will give me the strength to let my kids fly and soar when that time comes. I pray that I will not be the pothole or stumbling block in my children's path of life. I hope you pray that prayer as well. I hope you understand this point I'm trying to make. If a phoenix is destined to rise up and you're like, you are my bird, you are my baby bird, you are not flying anywhere, you are going to stay here with me, I don't want you to. Phoenix is fire. Phoenix has fires, right? Fire, it will break that chain and fly where it's supposed to fly. You can't hold your kids down. You need to loosen your restraint. That's the point for number 11. The last point that I'm going to make is that this is the most important one. The most important quality our parents possess is that they are constant learners. I have this theory that I'm yet to prove, that we are all recycled flesh and souls. What I mean is that when we die, we are reborn to another family with new flesh, new earthly DNA consisting of the mom and dad's earthly attributes, temperaments, and features. So naturally, when we are born, parents are to continually learn about their baby, what he or she likes or dislikes, and then they'll be able to give that baby the life that hopefully they can afford. I'm sure we've heard of nature versus nurture. These two have major impacts on how a baby develops in this world. I could have sworn my last born looked like an Italian when he was born. And I made this joke that while I was pregnant for 9 months, my Italian baby was making that soul journey from Italy all the way to New York. This is why it is very important to always be prayerful before you get pregnant, while you're pregnant, and after delivery, and actually throughout someone's life. Your life should just be filled with prayer, because this life looks a lot of physical, but there's a whole lot of spirituality that is involved. And the annoying thing is that you can't see it. I'm constantly and daily trying to improve this part of my life, my spiritual life, my spiritual journey, and being in tune with my inner self, especially in this time of global quarantine. What inspired me to write this up? What has this got to do with living in peace, to resting in peace? There is no guidebook to being a parent. There are a lot of people in the world today who have blamed their parents for the life that they have now, and I just wonder how right or wrong they might be. I thought about my parents, and I also thought about my life as a young parent, and then I thought about my growing kids, and I thought someone might learn from this breakdown of parents' jobs. Parents' jobs, as I've said earlier, is to give you all you need to succeed in life. You are the horse. They lead you to the water, but you yourself have to drink the water. They won't force you to drink it. The schools we attend will give you your certificate of completion, but you have to find a job yourself and work to make money. Do we blame the school we attend if we get fired? Do we blame the Department of Education when you can't find a job? Sometimes, yes. Authorities can be at fault, but the main focus is ourselves. When we have a lot of power that we don't even know about, if only we can unleash our potentials. How did I get so lucky to have all these people in my life? I hope you're thinking about this as well. Thank you very much for watching this episode. God willing, we are on this earth for an average of 75 to 80 years. Let's not waste any of that precious time on matters that don't help us positively in some way. You have a decision to make. If not now, maybe later. The ball of parenting, the ball of divine parenting is in your court today. Ask questions if you have any. Don't hesitate to leave a comment as well. Like this video by giving it a thumbs up so that I can make more of them. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Laraddiji, and definitely subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the many more sizzling topics to come. If I drop a video, you're the first one to be notified. All right, you can hover over the red hearts on the right lower corner and click the subscribe button. Why wait? It's free. Make sure your notification bell is activated to be automatically notified, like I said, of new uploads. Please, let's love our neighbors as ourselves, and remember to rest in peace. We all need to be living in peace. Stay blessed. Bye-bye. You see me in my next one. You see me in my next one. See me in my next one. You see me